So it mentions that she's a philosopher. I didn't put down, I don't know why I didn't put down, but she's an existential philosopher, which is something specific. It's a particular type of philosopher. It's somebody who deals with matters of existence, meaning, purpose, that kind of stuff. So when she's writing, you're absolutely right to notice that she's talking about perspective. She's sitting there thinking like, at this very moment, she'll be thinking, I'm dead, I'm going to be dead, I'm going to be old, forgotten. And these are the things that perpetuate her mind, that someday she's going to be gone, and that her life is going to end. Now, whatever her mindset is at the time, we don't know if it's positive or negative. Is she in a good mood? Is she in a bad mood? Is she joyous? Because there are those people who will, maybe some of you are this person, that when you're going through a good time in life, or you're going through a good experience, you'll stop and go, man, this is going to be over someday. This is going to be over soon. This is only going to last so long. And then it kind of dampens the mood of whatever you're doing. And then there are some people who will have, the same people still, when you go through a bad time in life, might be like, man, this is going to go on forever. Things are never going to get better. This is a good idea of what a pessimist is. Somebody who's fascinated by the idea that the good times are going to end soon and that the bad times are going to last forever. This would be a good idea of what a pessimist is. And so she points out that this guy's in a dingy hotel room, and she points that out for a reason. What does dingy mean? It's a dirty, old, ugly place. So he's looking around at this dirty, old, ugly place and thinking, I'm always going to be here. I'm never going to get out of this place. Obviously, he doesn't want to be in a dingy hotel room. He wants to be out of there. So while she's sitting there thinking that someday her life is going to be over, and it gives her a sense probably of dread, because she's sitting there pondering it. She's not thinking about it probably in the sense of, all right, man, someday I'm going to be dead. This is going to be great. And I'm going to be forgotten. It's going to be wonderful.
Vacation for life.
What's that?
Vacation for life.
Exactly, vacation for eternity. I have to do this whole, I don't have to go to work anymore, right? But notice the progression here. One day I'll be old. So now she's thinking about, when she's writing that she's young and dead and forgotten. These are not good things. And so it begs that question, as Monica did answer, that people want to be remembered a lot of times because we want to be, we would hate to think that everything was for nothing. This is, by the way, what drives a lot of people's ideas about whether, or I guess a fascination with aliens, the way of thinking about it. People look at the universe and they just think like, there's got to be something else out there because, I mean, wouldn't it be a terrible waste of space if we were the only ones here? Some people think of their lives like that. Like, wouldn't it be a terrible waste of time if I'm not remembered at all, if everything was for nothing? Maybe. I think I asked you guys before, right? Who is Nebuchadnezzar? Yeah. I asked you about this, right? Yeah. And it's worth thinking about because if our goal is to be remembered, when I asked you that, I certainly would have asked you how many of us knew what our parents' names were, and what our grandparents' names were, what our great-great-grandparents' names were, and our great-great-grandparents. And if I remember correctly, within 3 generations or so, we have no idea who the people before us were. And those were our family members. Those are people of whom we should have pictures and stories and memories and all of that. So if our goal for life is to be remembered, we probably need to find ourselves a new goal. At the very best, we can delude ourselves when we die and say, you know what, I'm going to be remembered. And people around you, we will never forget you. Maybe, as Brittany said, there'll be a few people who are going to remember you. And the interesting thing might be, it could be the people who you don't even realize. Like some people whose lives you touched in some weird way. It's a strange thing to sit there and consider that, because that means that every interaction that you have could just, could be a life-changing one for somebody, and you don't even realize it. You don't even realize it. I think I was telling you guys, one of my former students is he's a hip-hop artist. I won't tell you who, but some of you might know who he is. And he sent me something on Instagram a few weeks ago where he was doing an interview. And him and the interviewer got in this question thing, and he asked him about kind of like something that like motivates his life. And I haven't heard from this guy very much at all since he graduated. And we talk, just every few years he'll send me something. And he said, one thing I remember was one time I was in my English teacher's class, Mr. Scanlon, and he said, first I was like, well, it's Dr. Scanlon, but whatever. And he goes, well, I remember him saying, I'm a different person right now than I was when I began this sentence. I'm a different person right now than I was when I began this sentence. And what that means is that when I began that sentence, you have changed and I have changed. In other words, you've taken in some sensory things that you don't even realize. It's just kind of passive. You're there, sunlight has come into your head. You're hearing the words kind of put together. It's causing your brain to function in certain ways. You're hearing it differently because I called your attention to it. You're a different person, even in just a small way. And as Heraclitus said, nobody steps into the same river twice. No one steps into the same river twice, because when you step into a river, the water that's passing over your feet is different. Even as you step in right now, the water that passes over your feet is now down that way. But also, you're a different person, because you've experienced this and you're changed by experiences. This is exactly what forms your personality. This is exactly what changes a person. It's the things that we experience. And because every single second you're experiencing something new, that means you're being changed every single second. Now, there's a lot of responsibility with that, because when you realize that you're being changed by the things that you choose to experience, the things with which you choose to surround yourself. Do you choose to experience positive influences, or are you choosing to experience negative influences? And perhaps the worst kind are when we choose to experience negative influences while we lie to ourselves and say, I won't be changed by that, though. I'm not going to be influenced by that. I can listen to this thing and not be negatively impacted. I can watch these movies, I can watch these videos, and not be negatively impacted. I can see how other people could be, but not me. Well, we're all changed by the things by the things that we experience. And so it's absolutely true that I'm a different person right now than I was when I began this sentence. Now, when did I say that? I have no idea. I have no idea when I said that. Yeah, it does sound like something I've said, because I would talk about what I just said. I can imagine I've had those kinds of conversations with classes before, but I don't particularly remember saying that thing one day in one class, whatever it was, 7, 8 years ago. I have no idea, no recollection of it. But for some reason, he took something from that. Now, was it because it was what I said? No. I say all kinds of stuff. Who knows what you take from it? It was because he was that person in that desk at that time with that set of collective experiences who was ready to receive something. And what he received was the thing that he was ready to receive. It wasn't because I gave him some brilliant piece of life advice. It was because he was the person who heard that and turned it into some brilliant piece of life advice. It's got way more to do with him than it does with me. This is part of the problem with how we approach education. We sit there and we get frustrated and annoyed by teachers who will teach us because, oh my God, it's so boring, or it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's got nothing to do with the teacher, man. It's got to do with you and how you receive things. This is the thing about a brilliant person. A brilliant person can take in the direction that the wind is blowing and can make it into something positive, give it some kind of positive meaning. This is one of the reasons that you're going to find that people who are perpetually bored are perpetually undereducated as well. And this is why they perpetually have shallow thoughts, and they can't contemplate life as it is, deeply. And this isn't an insult. This isn't an insult. What I'm saying is that it's difficult if you're perpetually bored. The reason you're perpetually bored is because you're not taking stuff in and giving it meaning. That's all it is. If we're sitting around passively waiting to be entertained, well, my goodness, that has everything to do with the artist. Nothing to do with the audience, but it's 50-50, man. And the more of you that there is, the less of the artist is necessary. The less of you there is, the more we expect the artist to come all the way over and get us and pull us over. You'll get a hell of the best case scenario, of course, is the artist is willing to come all the way over and get us, and an audience is willing to come all the way over here and be gotten. And you kind of clash in the middle in this really ferocious way, and something great happens in the psyche, in the intellect. But half of that equation is, of course, the audience. The audience. So how is it that we choose to interpret those experiences and those small things? I'm going to always be in this life. I'm going to always be old. Someday I'm going to be old and dead and forgotten. My God, things are passing so quickly. I'm having a panic attack at how fast life is passing me by. Or I'm sitting in this really crappy hotel. Man, I'm going to always be here forever. Life is never going to change. Yeah. The more longer I live, the more I can confirm that it's true. Something I read once, which is, one thing I can confirm about life is that it goes on. Well, one thing I've learned about life is that it goes on. This is true. It's absolutely true. With or without you, life goes on. The question becomes, how much of that do you want to take? How much of that do you want to own? I'll leave it at that. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques?